What's going on, guys? Good morning. It's the Money Talk Show with Dane, where we talk about all sorts of interesting topics having to do with money, particularly crypto and real estate here. And so, if those are topics that you're interested in, you're in the right freaking place at the right time. We're doing our absolute best to bridge communities outside of crypto into the crypto ecosystem because we feel like this is the absolute biggest opportunity over the next 3 years, and it's not even close. So we're pumped to have you guys. We have an excellent guest on our show today. But before we get to him, Corey, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, what's up, guys? Crypto Millionaires with Corey Geary here. I'm just so blessed to be here to be able to teach the good word of crypto to all you guys, bring you along with this journey. Dane, you hit the nail on the head. This is the right time, the right place, the right time. Couldn't be better in the middle of this brutal bear market with the Bitcoin halving on the horizon, with the presidential election on the horizon, and probably a Fed pivot at some point. It's probably gonna be a super cycle, in my opinion. Legacy wealth could be built in the next bull run. So it's going to be super fun to be able to go on this ride with all you guys. And man, we're super stoked to have a good guest, man. Gymrat, we watch you all the time. I love your content. You and Sam go at it. I love your guys' content. And man, you guys have some really big brains on your show, which is really cool. You guys do a good job of providing the community with the top-notch info that we need. So, man, we're truly blessed to have you on today. Thank you.
Hey, I've been checking out you guys' show too. I like the consistency. Because that's how you can tell someone really likes what they're doing, right? And I can see you guys on all the time. I don't know your exact schedule, but yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I try to bring the smartest guys in crypto on my show. I don't care if I understand exactly what they're talking about. I want to set the standard for what we should be talking about and what is the right thing to focus on. And I appreciate you bringing that up, because that's literally what I try to do. I find the guys that are experts at what they do. And then Sam, calculator Sam goes at it.
Yeah. It's funny. I actually got on a private Zoom call with Sam one time to talk about liquidity providing. And he was kind of one of the intro. I've done some liquidity providing and I've experimented around with it. And he was one of the guys that kind of helped me facilitate the beginning of that for me.
And it's funny because I've never met Sam. Sam has been my life coach for years. And he did YouTube videos every single day about bodybuilding. But I said, why does this guy care so much about the nuanced stuff? And that's what I cared about too. He talked about chemistry. He talked about the interaction between these certain drugs and all just very fine-tuned. And that's all he cared about. He was reading all the time. He was never bullshitting anyone. And I called him and I said, where do I start? And he just, I think I paid him a little bit of money. And next thing you know, he taught me how to be a really good bodybuilder at the time. But little did I know, it all came full circle when I started doing crypto. And I called him up one day and I said, dude, this is the real deal. I said, this is the real deal. Like, I'm telling you, I've looked at the charts, I've checked everything out, and I think you want to put your attention here. And ever since that day, he has a very successful supplement company, and he still does all his fitness stuff. But he's committed to learning crypto, and this man has learned 10 times more than me in the time since I brought him in. Neither of us knew what liquidity providing. Well, he knew what it was in legacy finance. He has an MBA, CFA, whatever, all this stuff. And he was managing banks. But then he went down the rabbit hole of fitness and to start his business and stuff like this. Next thing you know, he's writing the book on liquidity providing and just teaching people and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, hey, I was useful somewhere,
No, that's cool. So talk about how you kind of why did you start your show? How'd you end up finding Richard Hart and that ecosystem? Tell us a little bit about that.
All right. So basically, I was working a job and I was making what most people would think was good money, right? I was 25, 26. And I was like, it's funny because all the goals that I have, they're not going to be funded by this job. I was doing the calculations in my head.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so I want to buy another house. I want to do this. Maybe I could do one at a time for years. And then I was like, this is not how people get wealthy. And I didn't necessarily want to get wealthy for like, I'm not a big like, I don't like cars. Like I like going to the gym really early and living a lifestyle that I want so I can be more effective. But I just had all these goals and I said, oh, everyone's patting me on the back, you know, you're doing a great job. And I'm just like, I know it, but I got these dreams, you see. And I don't
Tell,
think that
tell us about some of those dreams real quick. Like when you say you're not interested in cars necessarily, like what does a dream lifestyle
I want
look like for
to
you?
be a positive impact in scale and at the same time scale. Coming from the bodybuilding community, we talk about wellness, health, fitness, how to live a better life, how to have a good relationship. Stuff like this is what was really important to me. And I saw a world where everyone was suffering.
Yeah.
Right. And I saw a world where and I didn't have to ask nobody. You walking around 300 pounds, you're walking around like this. Nobody's going at what they want. Everyone's complaining. And so at some point, my dreams were to start a YouTube channel. I don't even know what my dreams were. Real estate was a part of it, though. I knew that I had to make income somehow. And I was like, other than my job. So I was like, okay, I'll buy a bunch of houses, like, and I'll rent them all out. And I started with this one and I rented out. I have 3 renters that live upstairs. And I basically broke even on the house and I lived here. And then I was like game planning to do another one. And I was like, man, this is going to take me a while. Like, I was just like, why are these other people like, the pieces weren't clicking. And then Richard Hart 101, like I start listening. Oh, I start taking paid courses on crypto, which I don't always recommend, nor I actually never recommend them. And these paid courses that I took, I wouldn't necessarily take them again, but I learned what I needed to learn at the time. And I learned that crypto is the highest appreciating asset in the world and everyone FUDs it and it's brand new and 3% of the world is in it. We're to 3%. I was like, okay, 3%. I was like, I can work with those numbers, right? Like we're talking, me and Sam's projections are 50% of the world will be in crypto within 5 years. So
I hope you're right.
So we're going from, and this is just if you look at the adoption curve for any technology, right? So if you look at adoption curves for technology, be that the microwave, be that the internet, and they get faster over time with the scalability. And crypto is very easy scalable. So Sam's like, if you look at this, Sam was studying Tesla forever. He was the Tesla guy. Like he was talking about Tesla before anyone even knew one.
Oh, he killed it then.
Well, he really wasn't as much of an investor. Like he was just into the technology. So he definitely made some mistakes. And I said, Sam, we're not going to make this mistake again over here in crypto. We're going to get our money in. But anyway, so basically when I heard Richard Hart, I knew people were making money on crypto. I knew people were talking about it. And I took these paid courses. And then the paid course, this was right when Hex came out. And I bought Bitcoin at 3,400. That was my first purchase.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it was on Coinbase. I never looked at it again. Then there's this big guy saying sell the top, and I'm like, all right, okay, well, it sounds good to me. Like this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about. But anyway, so I was in this paid course, and they say Richard Hart's the biggest scam artist in the history of the world, and he's going to go to prison. And I was
in the paid course, it said that.
Yes, in the paid course. This paid course is still going around today, and all they do is say sorry.
Interesting.
Yep, and all they do is say sorry and just redo their pitch the next month, right? They say, whoops, made a mistake. And I'm like, well, if you're a paid course guy, shouldn't you be on the cutting edge? Shouldn't you be the guy that's doubling down on understanding everything? And I go back and watch these videos, and I say they didn't know a damn thing about what they were talking about. And this was $1,000 a person, 200 people. This was not, they were making a large amount of money off of this. So
sure.
But they said he's going to prison. And I said, I certainly don't want to be involved with anything like this. I mean, this is not where I want to put my mind, but it made me want to research, Richard. So I started after the paid course, I bought the Bitcoin. They told me to buy the Bitcoin. So thank you for that, guys. And I bought the Bitcoin. I went about my life and I was working. And then I said, oh, that Richard Hart guy, something's going on over there. I didn't know good, bad, or ugly, but I wanted to check it out. And I saw a guy that was spitting the absolute truth 24/7. And I saw a guy that wasn't getting paid to talk. and I saw a guy that wouldn't sell out. And I saw a guy who so much truth and so much nuanced detail about liquidity providing, about markets, about why the price goes up, about every little metric. I'm like, he does not need to be sharing this information. This makes no difference to a guy like him. He's trying to help. He's trying to do something for other people. And people won't believe it because they just maybe don't have enough life experience, haven't seen enough people. Everyone has problems, right? But I connected with him immediately on the information. I watched everything he ever published 3 times over and read his book 10 times.
Wow.
And then I got involved and I bought Hex at 2 cents for the first time, went up to 56 cents, euphoria oozing out of every orifice of my body for like, I don't even remember that year because I was literally in a state of shock the whole time. Because I bought the top, I bought the all-time high and it never freaking stopped. 6 months later, it's at 56 cents. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? But then the ultimate thing happens. I have no idea about security. I have no idea about these front ends. I have no idea about the UIs. I click on an airdrop and yeah, I probably had bought and sold and like maybe gotten a little out and it probably my principal at least got out. But next thing you know, I'm going on a stream with Bally at Brandon. All my money's gone. And I clicked on a bad airdrop. I was like just starting to learn about Etherscan. I was like, oh, what are these other coins that are in here? Like this, because I only knew Hex. I only knew Hex and Bitcoin. I bought Bitcoin, but I didn't know anything about it. But that was the greatest moment. That was the moment that I needed. I needed that moment because it propelled me into a state of learning 24/7 about network security. I mean, about crypto security and about everything, getting me into those Twitter spaces. And next thing you know, like I have a bunch of friends. I have secure computers with Trezors and all my stuff is written down properly. And I said, okay, now I'm in position. So it's always you look back and the worst thing that happens to you turns into the best thing that happens to you in hindsight, right? Like maybe I lost 45 grand, 50 grand, whatever it was at the time. But now I'm set up for life as far as like my security and everything moving forward. And guess what? The price returned. I said, oh, I'm gonna bring these prices because I got robbed at the top. And I was like, oh, I missed my opportunity of a lifetime. Oh, guess what? I was buying at 1.9 cents just a few months
ago.
I was stupid. I said, God, thank you so much for this opportunity. And people thought I wasn't buying, but yes, I was buying 1.9 cents, 3.5 cents, scooping. And that's basically my journey into crypto. But it all is about Richard Hart. I mean, Richard Hart was the reason and is the reason I understand any of this stuff. The little that I do know, it's because he was nice enough and he was, I don't know even what the word is. He was generous enough to spill hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of information that guys like me had no reason to know. And wouldn't know.
We've had a lot of people on the show, and it's fascinating because a lot of their experiences, ours included, is similar to yours, where like you find Richard and you're like, whoa, this is the guy. But there's so many others that, that call Richard a scammer and say he's going to jail, kind of like you said. Why do you think some people are able to identify and see the genius in Richard and other people not?
Well, it comes down to life experience. It comes down to like how many people you've talked to, how many personalities you know, right? On the internet today, no one tells you the truth. Everyone tells you a lie. And this community is a bit different. But in your guys' experiences and mine was with bodybuilding. And all these guys, they had their muscles were so big. And I said, they told me I could get those muscles. They said to me, and I didn't know about steroids and stuff. So I was like, okay, if I keep working out in my garage and I eat 200 grams of protein a day and I weigh all my food, they tell me that I will get big muscles. And then I called Sam Stoll and he said, no, they're lying about everything. And I was like, what do you mean they're lying about it? They're all on steroids, Gymrat. And when you take steroids, it allows your hormone profile gets to a certain point where you can add muscle to your frame. They all just lie and say they don't. And I said, you're telling me for 3 years I've been researching bodybuilding because I'm 165 pounds. I'm not a big guy. And I was, I'm on the journey to 200, and 165 is on the thing for, a year straight. And I'm like, I'm doing everything right, man. I'm going to sleep on time. I'm working out. I'm sober at the time. And I'm just like, he's like, oh no, it's all bullshit. Everything's bullshit. Everything that you're getting fed on the internet is bullshit. And I was like, so Sam was like the guardian angel of truth for me. And he said, well, do you really want to know how to get ripped? And then we go down I definitely experimented with steroids. I lived that life for a while. And that was, and I'm not doing that stuff anymore, but I learned, I saw that all the way through. And I realized, okay, so these guys with millions and millions of followers are all just lying and working. Like they're just trying to flip a buck. And then you realize that some people don't have any strings attached and they're doing things for the right reasons. And there's a little nuance understanding there. Like there's a little life experience. You have to actually care and listen to what they're saying. But I just realized that Richard had no incentives. No one was incentivizing him to speak these words, and everyone else had axes to grind. You know what I mean? And so that's how I could tell. And I think that other people can't tell because frankly, they don't pay attention to the life that they're living. And they just go about, emotionally pulled to whatever direction. It's all emotion to them, right? The Hexicans are smart people. They can read people. And that's kind of what I think about that.
I also think it's a bit of a dismissal of ego is the way we see Richard Hart. Because if you have an ego and you're watching Richard Hart, well, he's going to offend your ego and you're going to push back on that. It's going to get, you know what I mean? You're going to be like, well, who is this guy with all the flashy stuff telling me how I should be? When you have an ego put in place, it's hard to see the opportunity there, I think.
Well, it's like an open-minded thing. Yeah, you got to be super open-minded, right? And yeah, you're so right. The ego deflation is something that's really important in life in general.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, like you're not the biggest guy on the block. You're not the baddest guy on the block. You're not the richest.
You're not.
You never are. And
you're never going to be.
You're never going to be. And that's just the way it is. There's always someone else who was born into a different position, who has big muscles when they were 13 in middle school. Like they didn't even have with those guys that have a beard and their like biceps are like protruding. Like I've never worked out before. And
you're like, oh my God.
You're like, Jesus.
Speaking of biceps, guys, put biceps in the chat for Gymrat. I know he loves the biceps, guys. Come on, put them in the chat for Gymrat. Also, smash the likes and subscribe if you're a first timer here. But come on, put the biceps in the chat for Gymrat.
And we got to have you guys on our channel. So that's what we should do, is have you two on the channel so we can promote you guys, because I really do like what you guys are doing. You guys are doing this. I don't know exactly about your business model, but it seems like it's for fun. And this is a passion of your guys's. And hopefully as the bull market goes, obviously that's kind of when the people come in, right? You're just setting yourself up for that.
That's exactly it. We hear Randy Hilarski always talk about it. That's why he's building now in the bear market, so that way he can absolutely explode his channel in the bull. I guess that's how also Trayvon did his. He built his in the bear, and this last bull market's when he really took off and became kind of, the influencer, if you will. So yeah, we want to build in the bear, and that way we have it for the bull.
And just like you're saying, Gymrat, we were, we were exit liquidity in this last cycle due to a lot of narratives and people that just weren't freaking telling the truth. And I still frankly feel really frustrated about some of the decisions that I made due to the narratives that I bought in from some of these streamers and what they were saying. And man, I really hope, and we've done a really good job. I feel like with our community, we've got almost 70 members in our group where we're doing our best to be truth tellers, to help people understand narratives and how to position themselves accordingly to be able to benefit from the crypto market rather than be prey to it. I think that's so important, to find the truth tellers, because like you said, there's just not many people out there that are telling the truth and willing to, and being able to discern who those people are is like a superpower. Once you can develop that, oh my gosh, your life just can explode.
It just auto compounds forever. Go ahead.
To your point, Gymrat, that the Hexican community is probably one of the better communities as far as truth tellers, but there's still the guys are like, Oh, just stake everything 5555. It's just math. It's going to be $8,000 a coin. And you're like, are you freaking kidding me? And so I fell into that narrative in the beginning,
Right.
and bought the top.
And those guys all block me today. Like generally those guys won't communicate with me because they frankly cannot handle someone telling the truth and calling them out. People call me out all the time, and I look into my heart as hard as I can, and I'm like, what do I not see? And then I reach out to as many smart people as I can, and I shoot it by them. And that's that ego deflation we were talking about.
Yeah.
I could easily just sit here and say, I have millions of dollars. I'm 28. Just listen to me. And that's not the truth. It's just not the truth. And the truth always can last. And the lies always have to block people and move to the corner of the internet. So I learned this in my life at some point. If you tell the truth in all your affairs, you will reap the benefits of that. And it's not always right now. Like I recently did the Zen thing, right? And I wanted to learn about it. I was like, I want to bring Jack on. I want to learn about this crypto. And everyone blocked me. And I was like, okay, what's going on here? Like what? But sometimes you just have to back off. Like I can't change everyone's viewpoint about stuff because really some people are just more so followers. They just want to listen to Richard. They just want to have a good life. They don't want to dive into the weeds. But for those guys that do want to dive into the weeds, I wanted to have my channel where they could go there and learn about these things and not feel pressure from the community by just exiling them. They just exile you. But I wouldn't have it. I said, I ain't going to have it. I'm just going to keep pushing harder than you could ever push.
Good.
And I just pushed and I pushed and I kept saying, where am I wrong here? Even me and Richard were talking in the Twitter spaces, and Richard's not the most yeah, he's a truth teller, but he's got his own shit too. And Richard immediately came at my throat.
I was in that space.
Yeah.
I
never backed down for 1 second. I said, I want you to tell me why. Can you? Yeah. And I learned some of the things that he was talking about after. And I reached out to some really smart people in the community. And they said, oh, the math doesn't line up. It spams the network, this, that, and the other. Instead of saying oh, he's a Russian, spy, and he's here to break the internet forever, and he's a criminal, and he was never at Google, and he's a vampire. And I just can't take that stuff for an answer. That's just not how I roll.
I agree.
I just refuse to think like that because I know that is small-minded thinking. And Richard's doing it to please the crowd, but the other people are falling into that for everything in their lives. And they don't want to learn about proof of stake. They don't want to learn about proof of work. They don't want to learn about these things. I'm a huge proponent of proof of work, right? I don't care what works out, right? I have all my coins in Ethereum proof of stake stuff. I mean, ERC20s. But I just dove in for weeks and weeks and weeks. I was like, because there's a lot of communities that have problems with proof of stake. And so I wanted to know why. Why do they have problems with proof of stake? They're not just saying this shit while everyone's just like, shut up. Can you just shut up? And I'm like, I learned about all that stuff and I kind of formed my opinion on that. Ethereum proof of stake, rather centralized. Over time, it could become more decentralized. But that's not really the point. The point is I wanted to learn. I want to know what game I'm in. I can't just participate. I can't just be in the room and just be like, yeah, this is just a cool room to be in. I need to know. I need to understand. And then we get into liquidity providing where people give me a lot of hard time about, which is just hilarious. But what do you want to talk about next? I want to know how you guys started the show. Like, how did you be like, okay, we should do the show, and then episode 1 comes out? How does that work?
Yeah. So, in fact, I don't think we've talked about this on the show, Corey. This is a fun topic. Maybe we might not end up in Hedron and Icosa, and if we don't, that's just fine.
I'll give you the short and long of it.
Corey,
Alex from Hedron is the absolute God mode.
It's the GOAT. It's GOAT, right?
That's great.
Yeah.
I love Icosa, man. My yield is freaking sweet.
And the last thing I'll say about it is those 10x Hedron bonuses on those stakes. They just never get old. But let's go back. Let's go back and talk about. I do want to know how you guys started the show.
Go ahead, Dane.
Yeah, man. So I was in crypto in 2017. I bought Bitcoin. You couldn't have bought it much higher than I did. And same thing. I was in a real estate conference. One of my buddies was like, "Dang, this Bitcoin thing is like nuts." He pretty much bought the bottom. He's like, "Oh, it's at 20 grand. Maybe it'll go to 50." And I'm like, "Oh, I could double my money. Like, that sounds excellent." And so I bought a full Bitcoin at the time for like 20 grand. And I couldn't, like, I was trying to figure out exchanges. I was like, "Dude, I can't, like, this isn't working. Can I just like give you the money and you can turn it into some Bitcoin and then send it to me?" And he's like, "Cool." And he was a friend. I trusted him and it was fine. And so we did that. And then price immediately started crashing. And I was like, "Oh, this Bitcoin thing sucks." And so I sold at a little bit of a loss. I bought it like 20, I sold like 18. So it wasn't a huge loss. And I just lost interest. I lost interest because price was going down and I focused on real estate. And that worked out, it worked out good for real estate in real estate terms. But gosh, I missed a massive opportunity in this last run. And I did real estate in such a way where, like you go to enough real estate investor meetups and events, and you listen to enough speakers. And maybe this is my ego kicking in, but man, like I'm sitting there and I'm like, if these people can make, I definitely could make some money in real estate. And so went down the rabbit hole, did some really cool things, but came to the same conclusion that you did, where I'm like, I could buy a bunch of houses. I got to 25 doors and the cash flow just sucked and it was not passive. And I was like, this is a sucky way to get financial freedom. There's got to be a better way. And so I did the same thing with crypto. I'm like, if you listen to enough people, you'll find the right places. And my real estate investor network, same thing. One of my real estate buddies, he says, "Hey, have you seen this hex thing?" It was just like, I don't believe in luck. I believe in things. Everything is meant to be. And I'm at the title company closing on a deal. He ends up there at the same time. We end up talking about crypto for like 5 minutes. And he's like, "Oh, have you seen this hex thing? I bought it at like a penny and it's gone way up." And I was like, "Oh, that sounds cool. I guess I'll go look at that." And same type of experience that you had, I found Richard, and I love finding people that are polarizing, because there's going to be a massive amount of people that are going to miss. They're just going to miss out because they're not good at seeing through, ego and big personalities to find if somebody is a good operator. And I felt that way with Richard. And so started digging in. Long story short, Corey has been, I love Corey. Props to Corey. Corey, if you guys don't know Corey and you're watching the show, you won't find a better person in this world, in my opinion. And I just feel
That's great.
and I mean it. Like, I don't feel like I could find a better person to work with today. And once again, things are meant to be. And so I was freaking telling the world I missed the pulse chain sacrifice by like 2 weeks, but we're getting this second chance with Pulse X. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to tell the world.
You did.
So I feel like this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So I'm like, you guys come and check out Pulse X before you miss this opportunity. And Corey was one of the few people that latched on. And Corey has this very unique ability. And I feel like I'm this way, but Corey is this way to like perfection, where once Corey has something, the guy like is gonna take that and sling it over his shoulder and make it his mission to understand. And so he went down the rabbit hole and was just really digging in. We started a little group in Telegram just to be able to be truth tellers and help our real estate buddies. And it made a lot of sense to just work together. So Corey had the same experience. Well, I'll let Corey tell that part. But yeah, we started the show because we just wanted more truth tellers. The Real Estate Investor Network is one that has a massive amount of money to be able to do things with. They understand investing. And we feel like the opportunity to teach them crypto, which is an infinitely more efficient way to be able to generate cash flow and to be able to find financial freedom. We want to help them understand that opportunity as well. So thus the show.
Yep. That's it in a nutshell. I remember when you called me, and Dane had called me and was like, "Hey man," Dane already started doing a little bit of YouTube on his own, not a lot. He did like a few shows,
Just a little.
just a little bit, a couple breaks. I remember you did one show where you broke down, like you analyzed like 6 different layer ones or 8 different layer ones from launch date, what the pricing would do, and if Pulse Chain would have a retracement. And I remember you called me, "Hey man, I kind of want to do this YouTube. Do you want to just do it together?" And I was like, "Sure, why not? Let's try it." And that's kind of how I was born.
Yeah, YouTube to me was a big I wanted to do a YouTube channel, and I always wanted it to be about truth and transparency. Which there was a lot of topics that I got into over the last 5 years or 6 years. A lot of those being not so family friendly. Like I was trying to date girls at some time. Like you're young, you're trying to figure stuff out. But I was like, I want something that has class, like to where it's not like a negative thing. Like I didn't want it to be like, oh, you need to date chicks and do this and that. I was like, that's not really what a scalability for me. And then crypto is like the opportunity of a lifetime. I mean, crypto really is the opportunity of a lifetime. All you have to do is look back at the chart. If you bought BNB, if you bought Polkadot, if you bought Cardano, if you bought Celsius early on, you were done working forever.
Yep.
And all you have to do is look at the chart. And Richard really made it about price appreciation, right? Everyone's like, "Oh, what's the utility here? What's the utility there?" The truth is, no one gives a shit about the utility. Yes, we like to learn in our own time. We like to, it's enjoyable learning these subjects like all the way in so you could explain it to someone else. But at the end of the day, we're in a world where no one can afford anything anymore. And no one can go into I'm sure, not me in particular, not us guys probably, but a family of 3 that's working a normal job. We see that as just like you're getting rugged.
Yeah.
You're rugged. You're literally
You are.
rugged forever. You're going to the grocery store, you're counting your your budget, and you're going to work 24/7.
Yep.
And that is not what I like to think about when I get older. I was like, I don't want to. I saw my dad. Now, my dad's a little bit different. He started his own business and kind of broke out of that way. Right. And that was like the old model to do it was like, you have to start your own business. You got to be making the money for the whole, you have to be the top of the leaderboard, basically. But now it's like, okay, you can invest a few $1,000s and wait for 5 years. Okay. Right. Okay. That makes sense to me. And you have to learn how to do it secure. You have to learn how to have your own self-custody. And those are a lot of the things that I focus on now, like teaching people about self-custody, teaching people about hardware wallets, teaching people about proper hygiene, as we call it, like security hygiene. Like that's more important to me because I had that experience where that affected me. But I just think that this opportunity for the people that were looking for an opportunity, there's some guys just like us that we roam this world and we look for opportunities all the time. And like and crypto is just a smack in the face. Like Richard was saying, this is a smack in the face. Bitcoin went up 68 million%. You missed it, motherfucker. You missed it.
Right.
And I was like, damn, I was here. I was alive. I remember pulling out my phone and people talk about Bitcoin. And then I just said never again. And then he graced us with the Hex ecosystem, which, guys, these are still speculative assets. Like government, tyranny and like crazy things happening is like possible in a way. But Hex is immutable. And that's the greatest part. Like he brought us through all those small factors that make this thing indestructible in our opinions, right? And that's why we're all so comfortable here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's pretty remarkable. Well, and to your point where, we're talking about traditional ways of financial freedom, how they really are a rug at this point. I was talking with one of my friends at church on Sunday, and he did everything the traditional way. He was a post mail worker. He worked for the post office and the mail service for years. It was a very safe job with great benefits, has a 401k, and he's retiring. We've talked about investing a number of times. And he said, well, I want to retire and I need cash flow and I want to make, I need like an extra $1,000 a month. And I said, and he said he's looking at real estate and he's looking at what else? I don't know, there are a few different things. And he's like, these guys said that they'll pay me like 6% interest a year. I'm like, bro, you're not going to be able to pay for your, and I feel terrible. I said, how much money do you have to invest? He's like, well, with my 401k, I have like 400 grand. And I'm like, Dad, that's great. But at 4 to 6% a year, that's not going to sustain you, especially factoring in inflation. And so I explained to him in crypto, and I was like, look at the passive income I'm able to generate from crypto. And I said, and this is a fraction of your 400k. I'm doing all these numbers on a fraction of your 400k. He's like, holy cow, that's insane. And I feel like crypto absolutely it's our generation's opportunity to be able to generate financial freedom and be able to hold all of your own keys, all of your own crypto without this third-party risk that previous generations had to you had to invest in a stock or give your money to somebody else to invest in real estate. And we don't have to do that in crypto, which is a huge deal.
Yeah, it's crazy because I never experienced any of this legacy finance stuff. I learned about it in hindsight. I was just working, like paying my bills, bought a house, kind of dating girls, trying to do my thing. But I knew I was like, I want to have kids. That's all I ever thought. It was like, I want to have kids. I was like, I don't know if that's in 5 years or 10 years or whatever, but I can't afford a child. I was like, and I'm pretty good. I was like, I'm pretty good. Like, I ain't the biggest slouch in the world. I work hard and I pay attention and the details. And I was like, how are other people doing this? And the truth is they're not. They don't know what they're getting into. And I dumped my 401k immediately when I got into crypto. Done. I plugged
it when I got into real estate. Yeah.
I just plugged the numbers. I was like, okay. I was like, okay, I did. So for people in the chat that maybe don't know anything, like just for an example, like that guy was getting 6% a year. I waited patiently to buy the bottom of Hex, which I was, I wasn't always hitting the bottom, but I did eventually get in at the bottom right around. And I've done 300% since then. Right. In the most brutal bear market that I've ever been a part of. I mean, I was alive in 2008, but I was just a child. So
in about 60 days.
In 60 days. And I'm plugging these numbers and I take a little bit of profit. I'm not afraid. Yeah, I'm not afraid. I have stakes. I got stakes all over the place, baby. And I have 10x Hedron bonuses, and I have my Icosa pools, dude. Are you kidding me? I'm obsessed with my Icosa pools. I have Watsas that are and these are things I'm not going to sell. Like, people don't get it. Like 10 years, 5 years, 3 years minimum. Right. Minimum for me. My 180 days came up. I was like, you bet your ass I'm not ending this shit. and then Icosa was at 34 cents at the time. And I said, boom, doubled my bag, shot it right back in there. Nice. And I said, my God, crypto is awesome because it gives you opportunities on the upside and the downside. If you know what you're doing, the downside is the most beautiful part of crypto. And just so everyone knows, the Shanghai fork is coming up early April. Yep. Don't be surprised if you see some extreme volatility right before it or even during it, where you could scoop some amazing deals on potentially Hex and Ethereum.
Yeah,
and it could be quick. No, and I really do think, 13% of the total supply is locked up. And it's billions and billions of dollars. And then for us liquidity nerds, you run some numbers in your head really quick. If like 0.3% of that gets sold, like it nukes the price, right? Yep. So it's like, just understand these opportunities come, and maybe it'll be next cycle, but buying now, and I did not say this for so many days, dude. You can go to every stream I ever did. I never said buy now because Richard was like, tops in. And I was like, well, and then I learned about correlation, and then I learned about liquidity, and I said, well, this is going to keep going down unless there's some, something I don't understand. But just understand, like, 8 cents might seem a lot after a 3% dump, but if you were going to be told that it would be $10 in 2025, would you buy 8 cents? Yeah, you really would.
Back the
Would you
truck
buy
up.
56 cents? Yeah, you really would. So it's all about time frame, zooming out, and understanding the asset that you're in.
So if you had any dry powder right now, knowing that the Shanghai fork is coming up, what would you do if you were to, if you wanted to scoop up some more hex before Pulse Chain launch, what would you do?
Well, right now I'm waiting for that day. I prepped very thoroughly, being streaming every single day in the Twitter spaces every single day, focusing on this stuff. But you can't go wrong with buying hex. But I'm an always USDC on the sideline kind of guy. I never empty out. I can't. It would just because something that I'm a proponent for is your emotional well-being. And when you run out of powder on one side, doesn't mean you didn't make the money decision of a lifetime. Your emotions are in play, and then human error comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I need to have my emotions at bay. So I know, okay, I have $10,000 of USDC on the sideline, and I spent, $30,000 in hex. If the price corrects 150% to the downside, I feel comfortable scooping it again. I feel comfortable moving a few more $1,000s in. But people don't understand this. I invented the term staker syndrome. Staker syndrome is someone that overstakes all their money and has nothing left.
Mm-hmm.
And it causes an emotional turmoil within you to tell everyone else to stake all the time. And it just forces your hand as far as thinking. You have to stay in an open mind state 24/7. And therefore you have to have the pieces on both sides of that war, right? I will never run out of USDC because I don't want to, because I need to know that I can buy again, even if it shoots forever. Oh, I got 20 grand USDC. Well, okay. Oh no. What's the worst that can happen? And that's why some of us like liquidity providing with a certain percentage of our bag, because you're earning those fees. And at the end of the day, whether it shoots one way or the other, you're just getting the best deal on both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're just hitting that low on the hex, or you're hitting all into USDC or Ethereum, which we can all say that is fine. Like I have $10,000 of ETH. Oh no, and permanent loss. Now I have $10,000 worth of Ethereum. What am I going to do with it? It's like, you're fine, dude. It's fine. But people do these things with their entire bag. So I'm a big proponent of keeping your options open, always having USDC. And even if you don't have a lot of money, like, going all in will cause an emotional state, which will make you make mistakes, because your human intelligence can only take you so far. You have to keep your options open. And that's like the biggest thing I love to tell people. It's like, if you only have a little USDC left, just keep it. Obviously I want you to get something into hex, and then we got to talk about staking, right? Because if you don't have 100,000 hex, 50,000 hex, just understand you could be breaking even on your interest with the Ethereum gas fees. People do not want to say this out loud, guys. I'm a truth seeker. I can't help it. So I got all these guys in my chat, right? They got 5,000 hex, 3,000 hex.
Mm-hmm.
And they go over to these other places and they say 555 that, and your family will never worry about life ever again. And I'm sitting over here like, keep it liquid, brother, because you don't have enough to earn enough interest to beat Gwei with the daily computations.
Yes.
And people need to understand these little nuanced things. It's so important, because and then I go into Twitter space, I say, oh, this is blasphemy. He's talking. I'm like, okay, well, let's just do some quick calculations. Okay. Gwei is destroyed permanently when Pulse Chain, right? We need Pulse Chain. This reason Pulse Chain is coming out, it is not just a last attempt gab for Richard to make money like a lot of people think. It's because users can't transact anymore.
Yeah.
And he said this years ago. Remember, I said I watched every one of Richard's videos 100 times over. I could quote Richard better than anyone I know because I'm a sick puppy. You know what I mean? I'm a sick puppy. I love re-listening and re-listening and re-listening. I'll listen to the same video 6 times in a day. You know what I mean? And he said, if it ever gets to the point where Ethereum is not user-friendly enough for people to transact, I will have to fork the chain. And this was before Pulse Chain was invented. And so he's very congruent if you really look at him, and he always tries, he moves from one thing. I remember when he cried, and I was watching all this in hindsight, but he was crying, not because he lost any money, but because he knew that Ethereum was better than Bitcoin, and it was emotionally distressful for him to change his. He was like, wow, I fought so hard for Bitcoin. And he realized, like, it finally clicked for him, this was way a long time ago, that Ethereum was better. And it clicked for him. And he's like, you know, as a human, you have to be durable and you have to be flexible. And he did such a good job at doing that, even though his heart was all in Bitcoin, you know?
Right.
Sorry
Right.
for the tangent.
No, it was good, man.
Oh,
I think there's definitely something to be said that you need to be diversified, not so much in the assets, but in your investment strategy. And that's why me and Dan are always preaching DCA on here. And you should never go all in with your bag. You should always have some dry powder on the side. I love that you mentioned that, because you don't know when the black swan event might hit, and you have the opportunity of a lifetime for a split second. Imagine the COVID guys when the Ethereum hit the $89 low. Those COVID guys, the guys the ones who did react on that, they saw Ethereum do a 50x in the last bull run, and so like that was a black swan event. You can't foresee those things, and so you got to be very careful with your investment thesis of going all in, and also with the staking thing. You know, we don't follow narratives here. Now, if you want to throw a little bit out there, 5555, just in case you know that it's been around that long, great. But I'm a big advocate of like, crypto hasn't even been around for 15 years. Okay, most businesses don't even last 15 years; they go out of business. Technology is ever evolving so fast. I love Hex, but there's nothing that really says. I just can't believe it that Hex is going to be here in 15 years. I hope it is, and I have some bets for it. I do. But I'm an advocate of why not do some market cycle stakes? Let's put the big bets where the markets that we know in 24 and 25, we're probably going to have a bull run. We're probably going to see some another blow off top. Maybe we might see, who knows? Why not put some market cycle stakes out there? You know, do some stakes at 24, 25. And that way you are earning interest. And that way you have it in the near future to sell on a next market top. And I agree with you. If you don't have more than 100,000, I mean, you probably should keep it liquid. Maybe you sell it, bridge it over.
100%. Like, I've done those calculations myself. Gamma has checked them.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, like, it's obvious. And everyone in Hex for a while kind of figures it out, but it takes those truth seekers to say it out loud, right?
Over and over again.
6,000 T-shares, you're not preaching the narrative to not stake your Hex. I'm sorry, Johnny.
I mean, the way
I
forget Sunday night, man. I couldn't even. I'm minting those Pulse Bitcoin NFTs right now, and I couldn't even do it because the Gwei was 40. It was 40 Gwei, and I'm like, I'm
it's not ultrasound money, Corey.
Right, I know.
It's ultrasound money. All right. My joke is it's ultrasound money. Sunday at 2 a.m. I mean, Sunday at 11:30 p.m. It's ultrasound money.
Why is a 40 Gwei on a Sunday night? Like, I was like, you gotta be crazy. The next bull run's gonna be ridiculous on the Ethereum.
Well, we need pulse chain, dude. We need pulse chain. But staying liquid, guys. If you don't understand those Hex stakes, the computation load is enormous. And guess why I like Icosa so much? Because he fixed that. Well, it's just different, right?
It's different, right?
It's different, and it's cheap to unstake these things. So having your understanding before, because I have a couple accounts, a couple computers, and I got to load up Ethereum on those bad boys because I done staked already.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so, you know, that's not fun. Like, that's not fun to say, okay, well, my $500 on my, you know, $800 stake at the time to unstake it. And of course, price appreciation goes, and Hex will probably be, I don't think people will lose on their principal. I think people will break even on their interest. And that's like the whole point of staking, right? So I just want people to like double down on seeking the truth, not buying into these narratives. And watching a channel like this, like, I love the way you guys have said this. It's like, we are truth seekers. We don't care. That is exactly what me and Sam would not let me. He's my life coach, remember? So like, he wouldn't let me for 1 second say any fluffy shit. He would talk to me right afterwards. And he would say, and I remember one time, just to give you an idea about Sam, I asked him if I sounded good during that interview. I think I was just getting sober, like I mentioned to you guys, and I was feeling a little insecure about maybe my mental capacity at the time. And I said, did I sound smart? I never say this stuff, but I was like, did I sound smart during that? He looked me dead in the eyes and he said, you will never fucking say that ever again. Like positive self-talk. Like he just won't let anyone in his life talk negatively about themselves. And I got to jump, but I want you guys to come on stream with me and Sam really bad. I would love, and I'll set it up right after I got some stuff I have to do.
Okay, yeah, we're down. I mean, you'll tell us the day and time.
I'll tell you the date
Yeah,
now.
let's set it up. We'd love to do that.
Do you guys stream every single day?
Monday through Friday. If we're assuming that we're not at a real estate event or we're traveling, we were just back down in Puerto Rico for a week, assuming, we're going to be in Tampa, Florida coming up in a few weeks. So Monday through Friday, if we're in town.
You guys are probably networking gods right now with Hex.
We are networking like crazy.
Yeah.
In Puerto Rico, we met up with a bunch
of work together,
guys.
Let's work together. I have certain skills. Like I'm a bit younger. Like Sam has certain skills. I need more guys like you that we can work together. Just be in communication.
Yeah.
I just need to be in communication because there's so many distractions.
You should come check out our group, man. I would love some of the real estate content too.
And now we're friends, so it'll be easier for us to like communicate back and forth. And I really appreciate coming on the show, and I want to support you. I'm like the supporter guy. I try to get on people on here that I know are doing great work and rally up the troops because I'm really good at rallying up the guys. Like I'm a guy's guy. I love getting the guys.
Biceps in the chat, guys. Come on, for Gymrat. Biceps in the chat.
And I just want to support everyone that's doing amazing work. I'm not the smartest dude in the room. I'm someone who works hard, and now that I've taken a step back, as you know, my story over the last 50 days, trying to work on some ego deflation and use my skills. Like, what are my skills? I'm a networking guy. I love people. I love to rally the troops. I love to get the guys behind me and do the right thing. And getting guys like you, getting guys like Gamma. Like, God, if people only knew how incredible Gamma is doing those streams every day. I'm watching, sitting there like, I can't believe this dude has the time to even do this. And he's smiling ear to ear. He loves it. As a clam. And I'm like, this is what I want. People doing what they want with a smile on their face. You can see the passion and the purpose, and I can see it in you guys too. And that's how I got attracted to Sam. And if we build up each other, we can take over the next wave of YouTube where it's not a bunch of bullshitters.
Exactly.
And that's my goal. And I'm sorry, I get so excited to talk, and I can't wait to talk to you guys again on my show. We'll do a proper stream over there, and I gave you that. If he doesn't hit you up about those thumbnails, just let me know. He could just be busy, but I want to get you. I could make you a little template too. It's not hard for me to do it anymore. So just let me know on that. But amazing times, guys. I think we're just getting started. That's what Sam said.
We appreciate you, man.
Yeah, we appreciate you, man. This was fun.
Have an amazing day, guys.
All right, guys.
Hey, see ya. Let's Gymrat's gonna jump off. Let's go ahead and just go through a few of the comments. We could address these since we've got just a few more minutes. We've got an excellent group on this morning. Frank says, fun cast, guys. Appreciate you, Frank. Frank's great. We met Frank. And I tell you, the networking, if you plug into these different communities, is just insane. We met Frank at the Pulse Chain event in Las Vegas.
The rug.
What was that?
The rug con. Now? Rug con.
The rug con. That's right. Sloth is on. This one definitely took a turn that we did not anticipate.
We would love to have you.
Yeah, really appreciate you guys being on.
We would love to have Sloth on sometime to do some of his crazy monkey map that he does with the Hedron and Icosa stuff. We love your content, Sloth, by the way. We're big advocates of both Hedron and Icosa.
Yeah, we've watched all of it. In fact, we'd love to have you on, and I want to chat more about gas fees and Hedron and Icosa ceilings and floors and what you're thinking and feeling. It's been fascinating to watch a lot of that stuff with Hedron and Icosa not make the moves that at least I was anticipating them making with Hex appreciation. It'd be cool to be able to talk about that more. So we'll message you.
Well, I do believe same with a lot of the ecosystem coins. A lot of the economic energy is flowing out of there and going into Hex because everyone's preparing for the V3 is what I think it is. But
agreed. Agreed. They could fix the gas cost fee in a year or two on East, so it's still worth doing long stakes. I mean, it comes down to you and what your belief is and what you think, and then you can choose to make stakes accordingly. So I think that's a fair opinion, Ruth. I don't necessarily agree, but they'll fix them in time.
Ethereum will get their act together eventually. And I was even talking to Gamma about this. It might take 2 cycles to do this, but eventually they will get the act together and they'll be able to fix the gas fee. But let's not gamble on that. So if you have a very small amount of hex that you're staking, like let's say 20,000, 50,000 hex, you might want to think twice about it just because of the idea that we have the gas fee problem. Now, you will get your copy over on Pulse Chain, so that does help relieve a little bit of that pressure right now. But once Pulse Chain launches, you're not going to have that benefit no more. And it's like you only have the Ethereum side, so you can stake it in the pools because there are a couple different protocols where you can pool your hex together. And one's called Stakehouse, the other one's called Party with over the Maximus guys. And you could pool your hex into a pool and save on the gas fees that way. And that could be maybe an option that we could explore in the future. But definitely after Pulse Chain's here, you might want to think about staking that hex, maybe keeping it liquid. There's nothing wrong with keeping hex liquid. I have some liquid hex in my wallet right now. I have a lot staked and I have some liquid. Just so I like to have some of those optionalities that Gymrat was kind of referring to earlier. Optionalities are nice. Or if you're staked all out 5555, well, you don't have much options, do you? You're stuck. So
right, you have one option to see that. You have 2 options: see that through or early end stake. Right,
you're not early ending it 5555. You destroy it, you nuke it basically. You have to go 7.5 years, which there is that. Once you get to 7.5 years, you can make the decision now. Like, oh, is it worth pulling out? It may be. It might, depending on what pricing's at, right?
All right, Andres, you've been in the chat. We'll say hi to you. I hope everything goes well with your electricity. Appreciate you tuning in. Bets and Crypto's in. Hey, so we can't say it enough, man. Like, we really appreciate you guys tuning in. You know, we know that you have other things you can do with your time. We're doing our best to be able to share with you guys what we feel like is the best content so you can do this next bull market correctly. There were so many people in Hex, for instance, that had staked out not way too long necessarily, but they staked out more than they would have liked past the bull market top. And so they had to sit through a 95. Well, Hex did about a 98% drawdown during the bear market. And it was brutal. A lot of them, including Randy Hilarski, wish that they would have had more of that optionality to be able to do things with that Hex. So we want to be here to try to help you understand what the cycles look like and be able to operate in such a way that you have options that you can utilize.
Yeah, because the only stakes I'm doing right now are market cycle stakes. I even set up a small staking ladder from 24 to 25. And so like I'll have some coming out, you know, every 6 months, and maybe I hit the top. That'd be really cool. You got a stake coming out right in the market top. How awesome would that be? Right at $1.50 hex or $2.50 hex. Can you imagine that?
Or $10 with Gymrat.
$10. If that's the case, man.
You crushed it, right?
Yeah.
Ryan, send me a shirt, man. I need one. I need to go and scoop some up.
I just got a new Hex shirt last night, man. I'll wear it tomorrow. I can't wait.
Did you?
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's like this style.
Very cool.
The neon color.
I like it. What's your strategy when staking Icosa and Hedron? You're more bullish on one or the other? Corey, why don't you take this one?
Yeah, so in my opinion, I think Hedron has more upside potential than Icosa. They both can do really well. Icosa is more pegged closer to Hex versus way Hedron's more on its own. Although it does have a ceiling, but the ceiling we're so far off the ceiling. It's like a 50x that we have a long ways to run. A lot of leeway where Icosa could only run about maybe 80% to the upside before it hits its ceiling connected to Hex. So I feel like Hedron has more of the upside potential. Now, with that being said, Icosa makes more yield. Okay, so that's why it's nice to have. I have about an equal bag of both right now, where my Icosa is spitting off the massive amounts of yield that I love, and then I have Hedron that I'm holding. I got it staked also. That way I'm getting yield, but that way I have that upside potential. if we ever hit that in the next bull run. So I like them both equally, just because one produces more yield and the other one I feel like has more upside potential.
And even the yield in the Hedron pool has been really nice.
It's not bad. I'm getting about an 80% APY, and which is not bad. And I'm about 300% in the Icosa. But I mean, I'm okay with holding the 80% APY, being that I know that I might be able to get like a 100x versus Hex in the future. It could happen. Will it? I don't know, because there is the narrative of like there's a lot of dumpers out there with because they can present. They can mint so much with a 10x stakes, but guys, that's eventually one day going to run out. And I know about 80 to 90% of the previous supply has all been minted already and dumped into the market. So it'll be interesting to see when the bull market comes back and there's a lot of economic energy coming into our ecosystem again, how these two assets will play out. I'm very bullish on both, though.
Right. Absolutely. And Corey and I, our portfolios are very similar in that respect. I hold pretty equal positions there, and I'm excited. I think it'll be interesting. In fact, we were talking with Axis Alive the other day, and he had mentioned that he feels like it'll be a rubber band effect. Hex is the one that's running right now, and so that's where people want to come and chase green candles. And his thought was that, I won't necessarily speak for him, but the general idea that many people have in the community is once Hex kind of finds, a little bit of stability, there will be a rubber band effect where people in the Hex community will go looking for more gains. And a lot of those gains, they might be rolled back into Icosa and Hedron. You see a rubber band effect where those two then take off, and we see some pretty nice appreciation. So it'll be fascinating to see if that occurs. It's a new ecosystem that we're really bullish on and excited about. And you've got to make your own determination, do your own financial research, make your own financial decisions how you may or may not want to participate there. Cool. We've gone through the comments. We appreciate you guys once again being on. We've got a strong lineup the rest of the week, and so join us here. We'll be here tomorrow all the way through the rest of the week, and we'll see you then.
All right, guys.